Humanity once built a place that contained everything, every book, every discovery, every idea the ancient world had ever produced. Then it disappeared. And here is the part that should disturb you. Nobody tried hard enough to save it. The Library of Alexandria, a place that stored mathematics centuries ahead of its time, medical knowledge that would not be rediscovered for 1,000 years, astronomical theories that the ancient world was not ready to believe. Gone. The official story says it burned. Julius Caesar, one night, one fire, case closed. But here is the problem. That story was invented by the very people who had the most to gain from Alexandria's silence. Because the library was not destroyed in a single night. It was abandoned, defunded, quietly dismantled by generations of rulers, priests, and emperors who understood one thing above all else. A population that knows too much is a population that cannot be controlled. Tonight, the ChronoCase file is open. The Library of Alexandria was not just a library, it was the most ambitious intellectual project humanity had ever attempted. Built more than 2,300 years ago in the greatest city on Earth, its rulers had a single, terrifying ambition: to own every book ever written. Ships arriving in Alexandria were boarded by royal officials. If manuscripts were found on board, they were taken, copied, and sometimes never returned. The library attracted the greatest minds of the ancient world. Eratosthenes, who calculated the circumference of the Earth with startling accuracy. Euclid, who built the foundations of modern mathematics inside those walls. Archimedes, who developed mechanical principles that would not be rediscovered for 15 centuries. Some historians believe the library stored inventions the ancient world was not yet ready to use. Steam-powered devices, advanced astronomical models, surgical techniques lost for 1,000 years. And this is where the mystery truly begins. Because a place that powerful had enemies, powerful ones. And those enemies understood something very clearly. You do not need to burn a library to destroy it. You only need to stop protecting it. 48 BC. Julius Caesar arrived in Alexandria. The city was already burning. A civil war between Cleopatra and her brother had torn Egypt apart. Ships exploded in the harbor, smoke consumed the skyline, and somewhere in that chaos, according to history, the library died. But here is what the evidence actually shows. No eyewitness account describes the library burning that night, not one. Our most famous source, Plutarch, was writing 150 years after the event. He mentions fire spreading from the harbor. He does not mention the library. And here is the detail history quietly ignores. Ancient sources written after Caesar confirm scholars were still working in Alexandria, still copying scrolls, still conducting research decades after Caesar's fire. So why does history blame Caesar so completely? Because Caesar is a convenient answer. One villain, one night, one fire. Clean, simple, and most importantly, it ends the investigation before it begins. But the real question has nothing to do with Caesar. The real question is, who was responsible for what happened next? This is the part history almost never discusses, because this is where the real story begins. Libraries do not die in one night. They die the way empires die, slowly, quietly. When the money stops, when the scholars leave, when the rulers decide that an educated population is more dangerous than an ignorant one. After Caesar, Alexandria changed hands repeatedly. Each new empire brought new priorities, and none of them prioritized the library. The Roman emperors who followed Caesar did not fund it. They did not protect it. They simply allowed it to become less important. Then came the Serapeum, a vast temple complex connected to Alexandria's intellectual world. Some ancient sources suggest remnants of the library survived there. In 391 AD, a Christian mob destroyed it. The Roman Emperor Theodosius had already ordered the closure of all pagan temples. The Serapeum burned, and whatever survived inside it did not survive that night. Then came perhaps the most repeated story of all, the Muslim conquest of Alexandria. According to legend, the conqueror Amr ibn al-As asked Caliph Umar what to do with the books. The Caliph allegedly replied, "If the books agree with the Quran, they are unnecessary. If they disagree, they are dangerous." It is one of the most repeated stories in history. It is almost certainly fiction. Most modern historians believe this story was invented 500 years after the conquest by writers with political reasons to discredit early Islam. The primary sources do not support it, which means we have been blaming the wrong people again and again and again. The Library of Alexandria was not killed by one fire. It was killed by centuries of rulers who decided that controlling knowledge was more important than preserving it. This is the question that keeps historians awake at night. What exactly vanished? We know some of what was lost because ancient writers referenced it, works they read, discoveries they cited, books they quoted from, that no longer exist anywhere on Earth. The complete works of Sophocles, 123 plays, 7 survived. The astronomical calculations of Aristarchus, who argued the Earth orbited the Sun, 17 centuries before Copernicus. The complete geographical surveys of the ancient world, maps of coastlines, trade routes, and territories that took centuries to rediscover. Medical treatises describing surgical techniques that would not reappear until the modern era. And this creates a possibility that most historians are reluctant to state directly. What if human progress was not a straight line? What if civilization advanced rapidly, then lost centuries of knowledge and had to start again? Not once, but repeatedly. We call it the Dark Ages. But perhaps it was something more specific. Perhaps it was the consequence of Alexandria, the moment humanity decided that controlling knowledge mattered more than protecting it. So who really destroyed the Library of Alexandria? Here is the answer. History does not want to give you. Nobody destroyed it. Everybody abandoned it. Caesar's fire damaged the harbor. Perhaps some scrolls burned. But the library survived Caesar. It survived for centuries after Caesar. What killed the library was not one conqueror with one torch. What killed it was a decision made by generation after generation of powerful people. The decision that a population with access to knowledge is harder to rule than a population without it. The Romans decided the library was not worth funding. Religious authorities decided certain ideas were too dangerous to preserve. Political leaders decided that their version of history was the only version that needed to survive. Nobody gave the order to burn it down. They simply gave the order to stop caring about it. And here is the part that should terrify you. Because this is not ancient history. This is the same decision being made today. Every time a government restricts access to information, every time a curriculum removes inconvenient facts, every time an algorithm decides which ideas you are allowed to encounter. The Library of Alexandria is not a story about the past. It is a warning about the present. Knowledge does not disappear because of fire. It disappears because someone decided you did not need it. The ChronoCase file on Alexandria is still open. Because the most dangerous thing about this story is that it never actually ended. The Library of Alexandria is gone, but the question is not who burned it. The question is who decided it did not need to be saved. Because that question has a very uncomfortable answer. Every generation in every era has faced the same choice: protect knowledge or control it. And history tells us clearly which one most of them chose. The ChronoCase file remains open because history is not erased in a single fire. It disappears one decision at a time. If this investigation made you think differently about what we are losing today, subscribe. Because the most dangerous stories are never the ones from the past. They are the ones still being written.